Could I answer to just a couple of things real quick?
No, at the end.
Oh, at the end. Okay.
Why don't you explain operating Satan?
Well, let me just say something here. I want to thank you for. Can I have a mic real quick? Want to come through clear? Excuse me?
This is not the agreed upon format. The agreed upon format.
Yeah, I think,
Well,
yeah.
you have to still asking questions. And this
Just write them down, and then at the end you can do it.
Finish, and then you'll get your turn.
Right, yeah, write them down, whatever you want to say at the end.
Okay, I guess
So basically, all right, here's what happened. How many people here, first of all, how many people in this room are Scientologists? Raise your hand. You're not a Scientologist. Okay, but you are. You are. Where are the, you are. Okay. How many people have read or looked at Dianetics? Raise your hand. Okay. So Dianetics, Hubbard said, basically, the end phenomena or the thing you were going for was to clear someone of their reactive mind. He said you had an analytical mind, which is like a computer, and you have a reactive mind, which is the thing that has mental image pictures of pain and loss and unconsciousness. And Hubbard said, with enough Dianetics, you can erase your reactive mind. And at that point, when it's erased, you will be clear. And a clear, this is what he originally said, a clear would have a perfect memory, a perfect IQ, and a number of other, no pains or somatics, things like that. Well, the first clear that he made, they had it at the Shrine Auditorium in LA, and he said to the clear, what color is my tie? And she said, I don't know. Okay. She didn't make the grade, right? So basically, Hubbard came up with the next thing. Because what happens when you attest to clear is you go, I think I realized I'm mocking up my own reactive mind or creating it, which is the final clear quote. And they say, would you like to go to the examiner and attest to clear? Okay, so now you're clear. But the next day or the next week, whatever you thought you had erased is now happening. You have a pain or you have an upset. And you go to whoever you're working with and say, I don't want to tell you anything, but, I'm still getting headaches. And they go, but that's okay, because you haven't done your OT levels yet, which are your OT stands for operating Thetan. A Thetan was Hubbard's word for a spirit. So he felt an operating Thetan was someone that had extra powers. Now, as you do OT1, which is operating Thetan 1, and it doesn't do much, they say that's okay, you need OT2. And after OT2 doesn't do much, you need OT3 and OT4. And it's just a continuous recruiting on up. For me, I've kept going all the way up to OT7, and at OT7, I realized this doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And I started writing to them saying, this does not work. And I left 7 years later. I stayed on it for 7 years, and then I finally left. There you go.
now the ultimate goal. This is really the bait on the hook. The ultimate abilities you get when you reach the OT levels. You get power over mass, energy, space, and time.
Matter, energy, space, and time.
I'm sorry, matter, energy, space, and time. MEST, it's called. And, well, that basically means you're kind of godlike. You have godlike abilities.
And yeah, it is a nightmare.
You know, if you have these godlike abilities, why not use them in Vegas?
When the Berlin Wall went down, this is a true story. They had a huge event, and David Miscavige came out, and he said, the OT8s were there. That's why it went down. They truly believed that's what it was.
Yeah, they were pretty.
Now, if the OT8s could do that, why can't they handle all this stuff going on now? Right? That never works that way in Scientology. It's like the negative is, that doesn't matter. It's just the positive, they're taking responsibility for it.
Now, you do get, in Scientology internal publications, you get accounts of big wins. Like, I drove downtown and all the lights turned green. I did that. Now, never mind the fact that the green lights are on a timer, and if you go the right speed limit, you can hit every one. Brian Zwan is a high-level Scientologist who has a company called Digital Lightwave. Zwan wrote a report of how he and his wife sat on top of their building intending to put out this fire. 20 minutes after the fire department arrived, the fire was out. Big win. They put it out. The fire department was just incidental. So you can see, I was driving on the freeway. A tire cut loose off an 18-wheeler. When it crossed 4 lanes of traffic, hit the center divider, bounced off, and rolled back and fell out of the way. Now, I didn't want that tire to hit me when I was on the road. If I were an OT, I could have said, I made that happen. I intended that that tire should hit no one. As it is, you know, they're anecdotal. There's no, you know, do you really do this? They don't do parlor tricks, so there's really no way to quantify it. Are there OT powers? I don't know. I haven't seen any evidence, and we like solid evidence, not just, you know, anecdotal stories.
Now, in all fairness, because you might be thinking, well, why would anybody get in Scientology, right? But they do have things that are pretty simple and they're pretty effective. One of the things they have that I think is fantastic is their communication course. I think it's an excellent course. A lot of people I know who got out of Scientology, that was their original win. They did have they had a win on their communication course, and they spent years, sometimes 10, 20, 30 years, trying to get back to that win or find something better. And most of them really, when they're honestly telling you, that was it. You know, they had some basic wins. And one of my analogies, and I know you guys won't like this, but I do believe it's a lot like a slow-moving mind-controlled train, where you get on a train, and it's like a pyramid, right? So out here, you hop on the train, $20, come on, you know, we'll do the communication course, you have a win. Then you say, okay, I'm going to hop off. And they're like, no way. What is your name? What is your name? Han? Hanuk. Okay, so they say, Hanuk, no way, you can't get off. You've got to come to the next car. And you say, but, you know, I've already done it. I want to get off here. And they're like, no, come on. And it doesn't matter how many people they have to bring in until you finally say, okay, here's my money. I'm going to the next car. And you just keep going. Do you see what I mean? And everyone, if you hear this much of it, you say, that would never happen to me. Okay? But as I said, Scientologists are good people. They're friendly people. When I walked in, when I first got in Scientology, I said, forget it. This is all organization and these uniforms and all this stuff. Not for me. But the guy I was with said, yeah, I know, I don't like that stuff either, but don't worry about it. Come meet the auditors. And we just sat and talked to the auditors, and they were so nice. I thought, I don't care what these guys do. I like these auditors. I want to be one of them. And that was one of the decisions I made that kind of shut down critical thinking of things that I would see that were wrong, because it was like, well, I want to be a Class 8 or whatever you want to be. You want to do that. So it's kind of like, all right, you won't put attention on that. Right?
Right. Now, how does Scientology attract people? Well, there are many reasons. Finding your ruin is one way they can get people in. There are people that are unhappy, they're lonely, maybe they think their life should be better. Scientology will offer them that. Other people want to help people. They want to help others. Scientology attracts those kind of people too. They're fine. Also, these things like Narcanon and these secular things, they can get brought in through
Children,
that.
stuff like that.
So there are many avenues that I like to say all roads lead to Ron. No matter what avenue,
Thank you.
they all lead to the same place.
He said thank you.
You're welcome.
You do believe that when you're in. You do. It's true. It really is. It's amazing.
But generally, the process is used inside Scientology. The control mechanisms are gradual. Some people liken it to putting a frog in a pot of cold water and gradually turning up the heat. By the time it's a lethal temperature, the frog hasn't noticed. So it starts out slow, auditing, right? Dianetics, right? going for clear because your reactive mind, if you get rid of it, you go clear, you're in a better position to deal with life. Now, once you get clear, they put you on that course to ready you for OT immediately because you're in a very dangerous position. You can slip back. So you must get onto the OT levels immediately, where all of a sudden, it's not your reactive mind that's your problem. It's other things. And oh God.
And they can't tell you. It's top secret.
Yeah, and
So you can't know it.
I can't even mention it because they're here, and it would be rude because it's their upper.
No, they have to be.
levels.
What level are you guys? He's all right.
All right.
Go on,
That guy's got
mention.
OT jacket.
Yeah,
on,
they
so-
got to be okay.
Are you?
TA.
You're all cool then.
Totally.
Okay.
They
So-
wouldn't send anybody who wasn't, just so you know.
All right. Yeah, I didn't think we'd get some schmuck off the street.
No, it isn't that. They just have to know this because they know we're going to mention it.
Well, your problem is the spirits of dead space aliens that are sticking to you, and they're confused. They think they're your elbow. They form ridges, and the OT levels will train you to get rid of those. Like OT3 gets rid of them, and OT4 gets rid of the ones that were asleep when you did OT3.
No, knots. Knots is the
yeah.
sleeping ones.
So you can see the bait and switch here. At this level, it's your reactive mind. Once you go clear, you still have problems, but now it's not your reactive mind causing it. It's the spirits of dead space trees. And they stick to you. And they teach you how to get them off. So, you know, these levels in a lot of ways are aimed at getting the body thetans or BTs off of you. Now, you can talk to them too. I think some of the upper levels you wind up talking to them.
You have to. You have to communicate with them.
Yeah.
Now, you might say, how could somebody believe something like that? Right? It's kind of like, come on, you know. And honestly, for me, when I did OT3, which was where you first learn about this, it was just in a little room, and they handed you a pack. And I opened it up, and he has written out 75 million years ago, you know, there was a guy Xenu, blah, 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 you know, the whole story of it. And I remember my first thought was, you've got to be kidding me. This is it? Because everybody's like, wait till you get to OT3. Wait till you get to OT3. Oh, you're going to be so excited. So now I read it, and my first thought is, you've got to be kidding me. But also, he had put in there, I nearly died. Hubbard said, I nearly died researching this. And I, having got epilepsy, right after I'd started looking for higher, you know, another way for spiritual enlightenment. And I had seizures. And of course, doctors don't know what causes seizures. So I thought, this must be it, right? And I think it probably happens for different people that you go, this is it for me. Do you see what I mean? Even though it's really pretty corny stuff when you read it, but anyway.
It's a lot like it's science fiction.
It's you're there, you plug it in, they've made sure that you're in the right mindset before you're ever told about it. So they have to make sure that you're kind of in the mindset, okay, where you're ready, and if not, they drop you back and you get more auditing and you pay for more auditing, or you go to ethics, or you do whatever until you're ready to go, all right, she's ready for it, right? It's P.T. Barnum, you know, the circus.
And the cost of each level?
Very, very expensive. That's a good question. They exponentially go up in price. Like this is, you know, maybe when I started it was like, I think 20, 40, 100, thousands, hundreds of thousands. I gave $200,000, I think, for OT 4 through 8. $200,000. And they say in writing, if you're not happy, you can get your money back. But that's a complete flat-out lie. They won't give you your money back. No, they won't. Give it to me. Write the check. Or else shut up. It's not true. I've been to them. Believe me. It's a flat-out lie. It's a flat-out lie. It's a flat-out lie.
USDA 12 court has never had a Scientologist ever produce one refund check for that, nor has the $1 million guarantee that James Randi Educational Foundation of Florida has offered for one copy of one check that cleared for that.
Wow.
He may not know who James Randi is. Exactly.
Somebody who had $1 million that the
He offered $1 million.
Scientology people have repeatedly litigated against, as they have litigated.
He offered if you could show some OT powers, he would give you $1 million.
Or if you can show evidence of like life after death or mental powers like the spoon bending guy.
Any OT kind of OT powers.
That's OT bending spoons.
I'm just saying, you say you're OT. You say you're OT. So show us how you're OT. He's saying, if you will, he'll give you $1 million.
Yes, he had to drop his body to go on to continue his research at the next level. But he'll be back.
I know, exactly.
How many years
Did you ever see
do
the Truman
OTs
Show?
go?
How many in here saw the Truman Show?
How many years do you get
That's
off
my
between
analogy.
lives? Is it 20
I
years,
have no
25
idea.
years?
What do I care about that?
Because
If
you
it's
get a
10
break
years
and then
or
you have
10
to,
seconds, maybe
then you
I
have to
won't
come
come
back.
Who cares? Maybe I won't come back. Maybe I'll
Sea
hang
Org
around
has
for
to
a
come
while.
back because they signed
He's
a
not
billion-year
Seal.
contract.
Oh,
I know.
come on.
I know.
You know,
Oh,
I'm getting
that's-
anecdotal information from
That's
you.
not
I can't
anecdotal.
talk.
A billion
I can't talk right
years.
now.
Yeah,
Susan,
exactly.
Can't talk?
I mean, the ground rules were laid out. I'm just
Well,
trying to
I got that. I'm asking you if I can say something now.
Well,
Or when is it going to be over? When can I ask questions?
That's what I don't know how much more they have to do presentation.
We want to cover the Sea Org and a couple of the main places. The Sea Org is a paramilitary group formed. They signed a billion-year contract. These are the most devoted Scientologists of all. They dedicate their lives to Scientology. And this billion-year contract, you get some years in between lives. But they believe in reincarnation. Sometimes it's reincarnation when you come back as a redneck.
Well, welcome back.
And they sign a billion-year contract, which means they will keep coming back lifetime after lifetime to serve Hubbard. The bases. There are, I think, 3 main places in the United States. There's Flagland Base, that's Clearwater, Florida, where the Scientologists, under the name United Churches of Florida, came in and started buying up properties. Now they basically pretty much control Clearwater, Florida.
Yeah, I was actually in on that where the Office of Special Affairs, which was the Guardian's office back then, came to me and said, we did come here on a lie. So and this guy's main presence was Save Sparkling Clearwater, Stamp Out Scientology. So they said, we can't handle it because we did come here on a lie. So you have to handle it. And I did. I went around, I went to all their meetings, just like these guys are here, and tried to ask questions and change the topic and, get them, you say they're not right on this, they're not right on that. And finally they did vote the guy out of office. He totally got voted out of office. And I'm not proud of that. I haven't met him yet. I've met many of the people I was in on things that I was harmful to and apologized, but I have never been able to apologize to Richard Tenney, and I feel very bad about that. But anyway, that was one of their things that they did do in Clearwater, and since then they've expanded there. Can I say something about the creed or not? Or not yet?
Just a minute.
Okay. All right, go on.
While Scientology was moving in on Clearwater, Florida, it was a sleepy little retirement community. All of a sudden, this United Churches of Florida is, or was it United Southern Churches? One of the others. It was a different name. It wasn't Scientology, because they knew what sort of reaction they would get if they were to move in under their own name.
Now here's what they told me as the public, just so you get the other side of it. They called me in a room and they said, this is top secret, which Scientology often does that, so you think, ooh, wow. And they said Hubbard was going to come from his ship onto land to form a land base. But they found out that the FBI was there and they were going to plant drugs on the ship. So Hubbard came from, this was, I think, Georgia they were coming in on. So they came from Georgia, swung around to Florida, and bought the Fort Harrison under a phony name. So they said that's why we had to lie, because we were worried about it. I bought it. I truly, I was a true believer. I really was. I honestly believed these people. I did. I didn't. I flat out did. I really did. And when I'd see, I've written a thing on the internet called flipping it, which is a thing that happens all the time in Scientology and really in life. People do it, where you'll see something like they have these things that are their things they believe in, but then you'll see that somebody doing the exact opposite, and you just go, okay, I'm not going to think about that now, and you keep going. Right? You just flip it off. But everybody who's left Scientology, at some point, something won't flip, and you just go, no, this is not flipping. I got to find out the truth, and that's what happened to me.
Now, the mayor of Clearwater at the time, Gabe Casares,
Yeah.
Scientology tried to frame him.
They planted an attorney in his office.
This was 72-ish.
Around there.
Yeah. And Gabe is still outspoken. And he's an older gentleman now, but he has a lot of stories, and he's still kind of active, I think, in Clearwater, but not in politics. Pretty much, they bought up every cheap politician they could get their hands on. Around here, we've got Louis Gonzales, who thinks Scientology is the greatest thing since crunchy peanut butter and sliced bread. Up in Los Angeles, they've got a lot of influence there. Los Angeles is another place where there is a major Scientology presence. You can't walk down Hollywood Boulevard without bumping into a Scientology building. Practically, here, there's the Hubbard Testing Center, there's the Citizens Commission on Human Rights, there's the L. Ron Hubbard Life Museum,
There's ABLE, there's Author Services, that it goes on
right.
and on. Yeah.
So they've got a huge presence in LA. And then there's the Celebrity Center.
But one thing I will say, they do have a huge presence, but I've picketed there a bunch, and they have a lot of people that can't stand them. They do. Because they do things all the time that irritate people. And instead of listening to them, they just keep doing them. And I've been amazed as a public person who was in Scientology to get out and go, why don't they change that? Why do they keep doing this? I've written to them on the internet and said, these are the things that you do that are just driving people nuts. Change them. Will they change them? Nope. Just keep doing them. It's like a hamster and a thing. They're going to do it.
Keep doing it. Maybe it'll come out differently someday.
Now, the truth is, Hubbard said, he wrote a thing called Keeping Scientology Working. And in every single course you do, you have to read and do Keeping Scientology Working. And it's 10 points of know the tech, know it's correct, apply it. All those things are fine. But then he says, but this is where groups go wrong. People don't rat on each other. You've got to tell on, like if she's not doing it right, you've got to write up a knowledge report and tell us that she's not doing it right. Stuff like that.
That's called a KR, knowledge report.
Knowledge report.
I'll write one on you.
They're going to write one on us.
And then the third and most interesting place in California has got to be Gold Base. It's north of Hemet. It's a Scientology compound that used to be fairly isolated. When they first moved in there, it was an old resort. Golden Era golf courses there, Golden Era studios where they make the wonderful Dianetics infomercials you see at 2 a.m. on the Sci-Fi Channel. They make all that stuff there too. But also 10 miles outside of the compound, which is fenced in, and certain parts do have wire on top, so you can't get in or out. Up in it's Happy Valley. Castile Canyon.
Yeah, we went there.
Yeah, it's 10 miles away from anywhere. That was where they used to keep bad Scientologists.
Bad staff members. Just Sea Org members.
It's called the Rehabilitation Project Force. It's a re-education center to make you get right with Ron. And, Dennis Ehrlich. He was an old-time, very high-level Scientologist. Dennis Ehrlich was held in a chicken wire cage in the basement of the Fort Harrison Hotel for a while in Clearwater. Other people have been held in trailers at this place outside of Hemet. And some of them have been held against their will, and some of them spend years. Now, there was a guy I met at Gold Base named Ken Hoden. Ken Hoden was high up in the hierarchy at Gold Base. The latest report is he and his wife are now in the RPF in Los Angeles. So the Happy Valley place has been deteriorating over a few years, and it's thought that they're not using that as RPF anymore. But we don't know. We do know that the second floor of Big Blue in Los Angeles, which used to be the Cedars Hospital that they purchased, these people are held on the second floor. They're just, you know, they're not right with Ron, and they've got to stay there until they get right. It's not something you can just walk away from.
That's staff, not public.
Right, publics, that's not a thing for them. It's
Sea Org.
Sea Org members. These guys wouldn't have to worry about it.